Congratulations, Marksman, once again for organizing a wonderful conversation on a really very vital and relevant subject, supply chains, which is only talked about in reference of, shortage of supply or lack of resilience in the supply chains. So it's like a lot of talking is required, a lot of conversation is required around it, and a synthesis, which generally happens in such a situation and in such setting, is really vital for a growth and vitality of this sector itself. Right. So once again, I really congratulate you and thank you for having me here, and also having the stars of various sectors or the subsectors in the supply chain who are contributing either to the production or the logistics or the trade of the supply chain. So really a great effort, and I think it's going to make a lot of difference. When we say बात निकलती है तो बहुत दूर तक जाती है, तो ये बातचीत जब शुरू होगी और तो काफ़ी दूर तक जाएगी, and I am also sure that we will be talking of दूर तलक. आज की तारीख में हम कल की बात करें और कल तक की बात करेंगे तो हम शायद ज़्यादा prepared रहेंगे और supply chains would be more resilient, I guess. And for this resilience, I think we need this synthesis and this conversation, a very intense conversation with the exchange of ideas and, which we call as research. There's a need of research and research for development, research for solutions, which you are, I was just saying this, Linked's wonderful solution, which is demonstrated out here. And I know most of you and many of you are, coming up with wonderful solutions, which are definitely adding a lot of resilience to the supply chains. And to maybe reassure you from the government side about our understanding of the supply chains and especially the global supply chains, I can tell you there's a huge amount of synthesis which has been happening on the government side. And, it's not only about looking at certain specific sectors or developing certain infrastructure or promoting infrastructure of certain sector, but we are having a look, a comprehensive look at the entire supply chain, be it in the domestic sector or in the national sector. And now we have also the understanding, relatively better understanding than before, of what supply chain is. And I want to share something about that particular aspect of supply chain. And we understand, and in fact, there has been a debate and a dilemma of sort, whether supply chain is part of logistics or logistics is the main constituent of supply chain, or maybe supply chain is a subset of logistics, right? Or supply chain is just about an enterprise, or it goes beyond that. Now, the supply chains or the global supply chain or sectoral supply chain, which we look at from the government perspective, is basically definitely beyond the logistics infrastructure or logistics as a service, right? It goes into the manufacturing or the production domain. It also looks at, the trade aspect, both domestic as well as international trade. And when we talk of the global supply chain and the resilience of the global supply chains, we are definitely going beyond the national boundaries, beyond just economic factors, and looking at the geopolitics also, which is affecting the geoeconomics. And today, we understand also that it's a geopolitics which is determining most of the geoeconomics today. And it's definitely going beyond control. And considering this basic premise, the government has been trying through various means to kind of bring about this resilience by, depoliticizing economics, or maybe making geoeconomics more politically secular, right? And then looking at every aspect of the supply chain and creating a network of the supply chains, because supply chain is just not a singular thing, like one chain for an enterprise, but there are multiple chains which are determining the outcome of the supply chains and outcome in form of the resilience of the supply chains. So we are working on all fronts, be it about manufacturing, which you see one of the marquee scheme is PLI. And when you talk about the logistics as a other major component of supply chain, you know that there's a PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan, which is just about developing infrastructure in the most integrated manner, adopting the data as a primary input into making the integrated infrastructure plans for the logistics sector. And you also must have heard about the National Logistics Policy, which was launched in 2022 after the PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan. This also looks at the logistics of be it the trade, international or domestic, manufacturing or agriculture sector, and again looking at that integration of different sectors, subsectors, or the component of the supply chain. And we have been having or seeing good results coming out of these major initiatives, right? And you also know that we are looking at resilience for the resilience of supply chain on the trade aspect as well. And you must have been aware of the recent FTA which we have had with UK now and with other many countries. And the same thing is being pursued with many more countries to make our supply chains more resilient. Now, you also must be curious to know about what railways are doing about bringing about this resilience. Let me assure you, railway is a change organization today, and it's more business-like than a government-like, and it's being, changing in many forms, be it about having a greater business approach when it comes to, especially the freight segment. We may not be as business-like when it comes to the passenger segment, but definitely when we talk of the freight movement, we are definitely more business-like today. We are developing infrastructure, increasing the capacity. You know the DFCs have come into being, and they are changing the game today. They are increasing the speed of movement of freight trains. They have also led to a kind of indirect effect on the passenger movement as well, because there has been a segregation of traffic from the IR main network to the DFC. So that has increased the speed on both the networks, right? If we consider DFC as a different network. So there has been infrastructure growth in terms of DFC, in terms of newer lines which are being planned, or in fact, the implementation has already started. There have been 3 corridors in the railway sector, which we call as Energy Mineral Corridor, or Rail Sagar Corridor, or High Density Network Corridor. So there's like huge amount of infrastructure capacity which is going to be created in next 5 to 7 years with an investment of about 14 lakh crores. So there's a lot of emphasis on infrastructure development and the capacity enhancement. Then we are introducing newer trains, just not in the passenger segment, but also in the freight side. Then modern technologies, be it about signals, be it about ensuring safety of the trains, be it about increasing the payload of the trains. So we have now high capacity wagons, which can load up to 25 ton per axle. That means about 100 ton as a carrying capacity per wagon. So that's almost about 10 to 15% increase in the carrying capacity. So same train would be carrying more freight or the shipments, and greater trailing loads, so long hauls, double stack trains, fast running freight trains up to the speed of 100 kilometers per hour, in every sense, whether it's a rolling stock or infrastructure or technology. And then digitalization in a big way is being done, has already been done. In fact, railways have been pioneers in adopting the digital technology. And you must have heard, if at all you are aware or having transaction with the railways, there's a freight operating information system, which is a digital platform just created way back in late 90s or early 2000. All right, and that has progressed very well, and it is now a multi-purpose platform wherein everything related to the freight is being done, right? And including the movement or the monitoring of the movement, or kind of having business transactions on this platform. So a lot of digitalization, a lot of infrastructure development which is taking place. And then we are also looking at the marketing measures, or maybe rationalization of the freight rates. So in course of time, you might see many more schemes and incentives for moving your freight by railways, as we are looking at increasing the modal share of railways from 27% to maybe 35 to 40% in next 10 to 15 years. And for that, was a well laid out plan for infrastructure development, as well as for the so-called the marketing measures which are going to be taken. All these things put together, we consider that the future is bright besides the present of the India's supply chain or logistics and railways in particular. There's a huge amount of infrastructure investment which is happening in this sector. And in last maybe 3 years or 4, the increase in the capex of the railways been almost at the rate of 50 to 60%. Today, we are investing on an annual basis about 2.75 to 2.80 lakh crores. So that's a great amount of investment which is coming in. That also throws up a lot of opportunities for the private sector as well. And there are a couple of PPPs also coming up. So there's again a lot of opportunities you may find in the railway sector in present and future. So with this, I would once again congratulate you and wish you all the best for doing best in your sector, and keep contributing towards this efficiency or the resilience of the supply chain. And let's have a great business time in the present and the future in the country. Thank you very much.